Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time today, Kale. I
Hey, no
appreciate it.
problem. I
So
got
how
I got a little
has,
bit of free time.
yeah, it seems to be the case for a lot of gym owners right now.
Yeah.
So how has the current situation affected you?
I mean, obviously, with the close interpersonal, I guess services being shut down, that means that's pretty much the bulk of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So it's pretty bleak on that end, just because obviously there's not a whole lot I can do at this point. But I think ultimately it's kind of helped me, I don't know, catapult a motivation just to really push online content and just
Mhm.
realize that, hey, I think diversity is definitely something that needs to be looked at, and use this time to invest as much effort on that as I possibly can. And then because when things are back in full swing, then obviously I will wish that I did more during the quarantine. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of how things have affected me, kind of doing at home, trying to accomplish, a handful of tasks a day just to feel like I'm staying productive, and then also taking time off when I feel like it, because I want to use the time for that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it's good to take advantage of that. So
Yeah.
what kind of online content are you exploring?
Well, I think programming is going to be the big one. A lot of places that may have already had the little bit more of the online oriented approach probably saw an easier turnover with that. So in my case, it's something I was developing to hopefully push online, in the course of the next 4 to 6 months. So we've kind of sat down and said, hey, let's just try to get as much as we can. We're gonna hope to essentially just a big content dump in terms of like just different variations, minimalistic approaches, mindsets, that kind of stuff, and use that kind of to boost engagement for when things go back to normal, because everyone's going to be wanting to get out there and change their lifestyles up a bit. And then on the other end of the spectrum, just start maybe garnering some of that passive online income that can help a brick and mortar facility like me as well, just especially during these times.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you've been doing workouts quite a bit at home, kind of just giving people something to do. I'm guessing that's mainly for the clients of your gym. What advice do you have for people working out at home who've never really worked out at home before,
Uh,
who are used to going to the gym?
yeah. Yeah. I think that the analogy I base it around the fact that, for one, people, if you are going to a physical location for a gym, what do you do when you wake up? You make sure you're prepared. You make sure you block out a time block or a schedule, and you just focus on that. So obviously that's pretty hard when you have a bunch of people cooped up in a house, especially if you have younger kids. But I think that's kind of the key thing to motivation is, whether you have a schedule, whether you have, just a to-do list that day. I think that formulating it on paper or visually and then checking it off, I think that that's huge in terms of even just mindset and motivation to begin with. Otherwise, you kind of just fall into the limbo that is the quarantine life. So I think definitely um, set some time aside. And honestly, it doesn't need to be complicated. I think that there should be more importance on intensity more than what you're doing, whether that's, you could be vigorously cleaning, or you can be outside pushing your kid in a stroller. I think that is just like intermittent style workouts where you go hard for even a minute, rest hard for a minute. You're going to get a lot more bang for your dollar short term. So you don't have to extend those workouts longer than 30 minutes. And then that's going to obviously boost your level of success when it comes down to um, sticking to your goal and then accomplishing them.
Right. So when someone's putting together kind of a program for themselves to do at home, what kind of exercises do they need to include so that it's well rounded?
Okay. Yeah. Pretty straightforward here. Essentially, full body exercises are going to be a huge thing. There's not a whole lot of them, but they're always going to be challenging. So I always like to make sure that there's a big dynamic movement. So you'll notice on my Instagram page that it's just, I think there's burpees in every single workout, but just because they're the king of the body weight workout or the body weight exercises. But yeah, you're basically, for one, kind of looking around, seeing what you have in terms of things that you can use. So for me, I use my ottoman a lot, as long as you don't mind jumping on it or stepping on it. But otherwise have that, and then just maybe some towels and just get creative, making sure that maybe you just tackle maybe upper body exercise, core exercise, leg exercise, and then maybe two dynamic exercises, or maybe toss in a cardio there as well. I think that you would want to keep your workouts, like, again, fairly short. So the shorter the duration, the harder in terms of intensity you need to go. So I would say typically for a 30, let's say, 15 minutes to 30-minute kind of high intensity interval style training, you want to make sure that on a scale of 8 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, 10 being maximal effort, you want to be in that like at least 8 to 10 range, whether that is go hard for 5 minutes, rest. As long as you're hitting those target heart rate zones, I think you're going to get much more out of your workouts than maybe just, going for a prolonged walk kind of thing. So there's some extra motivation there for if you're looking for fat loss or weight loss, or just, a quick workout.
For those kind of workouts, what suggestions do you have around frequency? Should people be taking a day or two to rest, or should they be doing them 5 days a week?
Yeah, I would say probably your best bet would be looking at, especially for people that are just getting back into it. If you've been consistent in a gym environment for a while, I think you can hop into them anywhere from 3 to 4 days a week, probably 4 at the max, paired, and then those off days doing something physically active for a minimum of an hour, I'd say, kind of as an active recovery style regimen. But yeah, I would say, on a beginner scale, probably like 2 to 3, you're going to probably be sore. They're typically high reps, even though you're not going for that long, and that kind of catches people's bodies off guard. So just go low and slow. Doesn't have to be something where, or even for example, at the beginning, your threshold would be a lot lower than, obviously someone who's been going consistently to a gym. So just go at your own pace, and I would say still have a focus on form as well as a big key.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So then to kind of change gears here a little bit, since you're a gym owner and you're in a business, obviously that's been shut down by the government, which definitely isn't an easy place for a lot of business owners. What advice do you have on running lean and managing cash flow through these kind of circumstances?
Yeah, honestly, I think in terms of like in the fitness industry, it's tough because, I mean, it's hard to put all your eggs in just one, online programming and stuff like that. At some cases, just because of the saturated market that there is out there, it's hard to get your name out there and do that. So I can understand that being, tough as well, but especially having a physical location, I think just trying to figure out what the best blend of both that way, or at least, trying to, set aside time to make sure that at least your own clients are taken care of. And I think right now my advice would be just to try to, how do I want to put it? The advice being trying to, solidify a plan for when this is over as well, right? Because you're going to see an influx. So I think that, as I don't think it's super necessary for everyone in this COVID scenario, that is like, okay, I understand you're shut down. This is technically group trauma. So it's like, if you need to take a day off or a couple of days off to kind of reset your mindset before you're like, okay, what's my next step? I think make sure you have that, but then as well as just making sure that it's like, okay, people, it's nice. Obviously in my industry, personal connection is a huge thing. So I think that's something where it's like, it doesn't hurt to send a text here and there, set up Zoom meetings, all that stuff, because then at least your clients, I think for the most part, will still feel like they're getting value out of your services, although they're not able to actually physically come in. So then at least this time just isn't lost, right? So when they come back in, then you can start getting on top of the payments and stuff like that would be coming out or would be due obviously at the the end of quarantine. But then, yeah, just kind of, in my case, I've been sitting down and I've been trying to just do a lot of online programming just so I can start diversifying my product. So it's not just all physical brick and mortar location, but also have an online area. And, that's hard in a very saturated market, but I still think that the return on investment will be there.
Are you going into, or do you offer at-home workout programs for people? Is that something they can hire you to do?
Yeah, I've done a couple of those things. Basically, I've been um, it's got down to the point where I have probably a handful of people that are kind of staying on board. I'm connecting with, and I'm giving them workouts and stuff to do at home. They have some other equipment that I've rented out to them, included in the cost of their sessions. And then in certain cases, I've rented out just to people that have asked, because right now I don't need a whole lot of it. So that's kind of the one of the major ways I've been able to try to establish a little bit of cash flow to kind of offset the my overhead at this point. So just trying to keep things going that way. And yeah, I'm still searching, or I'm still kind of thinking of maybe what the best way that would suit my style and be able to be monetized online, even moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
even when the gym's back on. So trying to, again, figure out what that blend would be of me popping up online, showing support to people that are online, and then also showing support to my physical clients.
So what's the most helpful thing you've learned through this crisis?
You know what? I consider myself to be one of the lucky ones, just because I do have a fairly streamlined overhead here. So I'm not going to be quite as hard off as maybe a Kyle felt. So I think that I've been fortunate in that way. And honestly, the most helpful thing is I've just noticed that, especially in times like this, like, contact the people. Like if you're unsure of future payments, unsure of just future in general, contact the people. And in my case, luckily, I hope this is the case for others as well. I've been able to, as bad as it is, but defer, then at least get to the point where it's like, okay, you can kind of formalize a plan without having a barrage of things that you have to pay for. So I think that that's honestly the best thing that it's been, people have been helpful more than I've really, luckily in my case, than anything I've really learned. I mean, I just essentially check Twitter a couple times a day and kind of see what the options are for small business owners, and they're lowering that threshold for smaller businesses moving forward. So hopefully that just continues.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of the smaller business owners that don't have a big payroll and stuff like that have been definitely affected, especially the solopreneur types. So hopefully the government rolls out more things for those. I see they rolled out a bunch of stuff for students, which is good to a degree, but I feel like a lot of students are used to living without money. So the business owners have typically more overhead. So hopefully the government rolls out more help for the small business owners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely know, like, just, and even I think they just lowered it from, what was it, 50,000 to 100,000 to get that $40,000 loan with 10,000 of it forgivable if you pay it back in a certain amount of time. I think they bumped that down from 50 down to 20. And I think that that's a big step. And I still think that people that, not all business owners draw wages all the time. So I think I just really hope that they just lower that bar, because there's going to be a lot of small businesses that won't be able to financially recover from this. Right. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's kind of the sad reality.
So I think that goes into my mindset, just because everyone's in this together. Right. So it's like, for me to go out of my way and stress, and especially about things you can't control. We can't control how long this is going to go, what the trajectory is, but ultimately just being able to at least control my day-to-day thing. So that's where it comes down to maybe completing 5-10 tasks a day, whether it's videos, whether it's just future content, whether it's just future thought. I reward myself for that. And so, yeah, I think that those are helpful things as well. Just maybe understanding that we're all in it together. And, I think that just take it day by day.
Yeah, that 5 to 10 tasks thing is really beneficial. And I've been doing pretty much the same thing recently, because it's really easy to just get stuck in that kind of slump of, oh, I don't have anything to do, I'm just going to hang out and watch Netflix. Right.
Yeah.
They're kind of like that. There's no hope kind of slump, and getting things crossed off a list and getting things done definitely makes you feel a lot better.
Yeah. That was definitely a good self-realization moment for me, for sure. Like first couple of weeks, I just was in a routine for so many years, just doing my thing. So I was like, it was okay. But then after a while, and then you just start, the motivation starts dwindling. Then all of a sudden it's like, then it's like, there's a couple of days there where I felt like I didn't complete a task. And then it's like, okay, for me, I think visual is a big thing. So I have a whiteboard with tasks of the day, and it could be as simple as, come up with 10 video ideas. It could be something as like, I've been running more, so I guess I have COVID to thank for that, because otherwise I don't think I would ever be doing that. But yeah, doesn't necessarily have to be always professional, but just something that at least, kind of garners into the self-care realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, thanks so much for taking the time today, Kale. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing what you roll out for online programs.
Oh, it's coming soon. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Alrighty,
Thank
John.
you.
Hey,
Have a
thank
good
you
one.
for having me on. Yeah, take care.